everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, stressed out Christians who don't want to just survive and instead want to really thrive. I'm Liz Frericks, and this is my husband, Evan.
Hey there.
And we're so glad you guys are here with us. It's Friday!
Yeah, we made it through the week.
Since it's Friday, we are going to talk about being complete, which is utilizing your entire self, not being fragmented, being work guy and home guy and church guy, being your whole self all the time, and being now, not being in the past, in regret, or in the future, in worry, and then also engaging with what is actually happening in the world, rather than, a denial or a false perception of some kind. So, being here, being now.
Yeah, and when we talk about boundaries, we're going to talk about that garden wall analogy again, where we've got our garden. That's where the things we have to offer the world are, our time and our talents, the things God's blessed us with that we can then go and bless others with, and our energies there too, any resources we might have. And we've got it behind a wall.
Some people have it behind a wall.
Well, yeah, our ideal situation is a good, strong wall and a functioning gate so that we can, let things in and send things out and interact well with everyone around us.
Right. Having a gate that lets in the good and keeps out the bad, rather than a gate that lets in the bad and keeps out the good.
Yeah.
Which sometimes happens.
Yeah. Or having no wall or a broken wall.
Or no gate.
Yeah.
Yes.
But today, we're talking about being now in this moment without being too worried about the past and the future. And how that fits into the wall analogy is, like if we've experienced an attack of some kind, our wall's been damaged by maybe a trauma or whatever, we can live with a broken wall for a long time without doing the work it takes to fix it. And then the same kind of an attack is going to keep getting through that spot in the wall and robbing us.
Right. Definitely.
And that's a hard way to live.
Yeah, one of the things that when we were talking about this that I was thinking about was balloons, which for me, it sounds weird, but that is a huge PTSD trigger for me. I have trauma related to helium balloons.
Okay.
It sounds so silly, but...
Well, it can be anything.
Is there, yes. So when we first had kids, I was like, no helium balloons at all. Children do not need helium balloons. Mm-hmm. But, and one of my big fear is like, oh no, they're going to let go of the balloon. It's going to go up into the air and it's going to be like the end of the world.
Right. The kid's going to be so devastated. There'll be no way to console them. Right. Because the balloon's gone forever what.
Yeah. And everybody around is going to get really angry and it'll be a dangerous situation. So we're not going to put anybody in that situation.
Pressure,
right.
Do you ever worry it gets sucked into a jet engine and it makes the plane crash?
No.
Oh, well, whoops.
Thanks. Now I can add that to my list of fears. No. But
it's more about how the kids and the people around, they're judging.
Yeah, it's going to make everybody really angry and the kids are just going to be in a bad situation, so we're not going to do that. And so the first time our kids got helium balloons and we put them in the car, it did not go very well. We had to stop on the side of the road so I could have a panic attack because I was just like, I can't take this. I can't do this. Oh my gosh. That's an old thing. Like, it's totally different people, totally different situation. My kids handled it totally different than those kids. It's just... Mm-hmm. All the variables changed, but because that was my trauma thing, I was like, oh no, this is a bad idea. This is a bad situation. We gotta stay out of this. So, we kind of get stuck in that sometimes when we've had something bad happen to us, whether it's, a trauma thing like that, or just even, a betrayal. I love, in Daring Greatly, Brene Brown talks about how sometimes the worst betrayals are not the, hey, I'm stabbing you in the back, but just a disengagement. Hey, I'm physically present, but my brain is not here. And I'm just being a little less trustworthy every day because I'm not being present and I'm not caring about the relationship. So, yeah, it can be any of those kinds of things. And then that wound makes it so that our wall, we have keep away tape and all
Sure.
this kinds of stuff, but it's still
The wall's still got a big hole in it.
right.
And people can sneak. Yeah, I think we have a tendency to it feels like we're getting injured over and over again when somebody pokes at that spot in the wall.
Right. Totally.
Even though it's, like with this particular group of people or this, like our kids have let go of their balloons and it's pretty devastating, but it's normal kid
like 5
devastating
minutes.
stuff. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay, now I'm playing with this other thing.
Right. And I think another way we can mistreat our wall is if we start to project into the future all the horrible things that may happen to us, all the ways we could get attacked.
Right.
And we, instead of having, like when I think of this analogy, I always think of, a maybe 4 or 5 foot high stone wall with like an iron gate, and it's just like, okay, it's a wall around a garden. But then we start to construct this, concrete wall with reinforced steel and barbed wire at the top, and it's 30 feet high, and it's got a double, gate, like you might see in a prison or something, or the gates to Jurassic Park, maybe, that's
I don't
overkill.
know about those
oh
gates.
yeah, they're big. They're big enough for a T-Rex stuff.
Why are they big enough for a T-Rex to come through if
that's
they
a good
don't
question.
want the... I don't understand. I've never understood those movies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so then we're like, it's a whirlwind of what-ifs, and then we spend all of our time building a wall that's impenetrable. I mean, that's kind of the analogy, I guess, of no gate.
Right.
But this is like extreme, like nothing bad's ever going to happen to me because I got this amazing wall.
Well, and I think we kind of... I think about Clash of Clans.
Oh, really?
Yes, your little phone game that you and your friends play.
What?
It just sounds like a toddler thing to say. Your little game that you and your friends play together. You're so cute.
Wow.
Anyway, I think of your little game, the Clash of Clans, where you build sections of wall.
Yeah.
Like each wall is its own segment. And I think sometimes we do that. We say, okay, I just need a nice brick wall here, but here is where I need the steel reinforced,
Yeah, that's maybe a better, because we couldn't make the whole wall, whatever, but yeah.
Well, we can,
okay.
but that's the no gate thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you had taken that balloon thing and been like, you could have really been like, well, I'm vetoing all balloons ever for our kids until they're 30 and I don't have to worry about it.
It's true. I could have.
Yeah. Well, something I thought was just on a personal relationship level. Like, it's hard to know. Like, I've got relationships that have just kind of, some of them have ended abruptly, and but as time goes on, it's like, well, what really happened there? Why is this relationship over? And some of them I kind of am like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming,
Right.
And then it's still like, well, now it's been, I don't know, 10 years or whatever it is. And you're just like, what would, am I somehow, not saying yes to a situation like that or a person like that, or even this person unnecessarily? And you can't really know, I guess. But that's the whole point. Like, we want to have a good wall with good boundaries so that we can try to say yes and no when it's right. But it's just a reflection thing. I've been like, well, is that too much of a wall there or what?
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about when I was writing this down, when we do the work to fix our walls, we actually have a sensitivity that's there. Just like when you scar, on your skin.
Yeah.
There's like a sensitivity around it. You're a little more cautious of that particular area. But then there's also the skin that's there is stronger than the old skin.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think sometimes, at least for me, I'm so paranoid about getting back into the same situation. And I feel like if somebody even gets within 10 feet of that part of the wall, that means they're going to break through and it's going to be a big, right. Yeah. It's going to be this huge disaster. Whereas recognizing that instead, like, that part of the wall is probably stronger than other parts of the wall. It's not paper thin. Like, I tend to kind of like Darcy, where he's like, my trust once lost is lost forever. And that's sort of how I feel. If somebody breaks my trust, my initial response is like, all right, you're never getting in my garden again. Ever, sure. Ever. But recognizing that I then have the knowledge gained from that experience to kind of see the warning signs, to see when it becomes a problem. And that means that I can let them back in, Because before, at least for me, I felt blindsided with so many of these different situations. It was just like, I don't understand why I got here. I don't understand, why this person hurt me this way or whatever. But now, because I've been through those, I have the skills to recognize, oh, wait, this is headed towards a problem. We need to do something about it now to nip it in the bud, which means it's not as big of an injury.
Yeah. And that's, so growing and changing and learning to manage and take care of our wall. That's, another way I thought of to do that is in 12-step, they have this thing called living amends. Like if you need to make amends with somebody, but for any number of reasons, it just doesn't make sense to actually make that amends to that direct person. They could be dead. There could be no way to get in contact with them, or it could be so hurtful to reestablish contact that you just would never do that.
Right.
The living amends then is, well, I'm going to, kind of like you're saying, I'm going to, going forward, have much better relationships with other people.
Right.
I'm going to be better at it myself. I'm going to take what happened and learn from it and interact more better with the world around me.
Yeah.
And work on the complete stuff, being here now instead of, stuck in the past or projecting the future.
Having a healthy wall, doing the healing so it's not just stuck in the state that it was in the past, and not letting it get super strong in anticipation of the future, but just being here, being now, and relating to people. Like I said, you have those early warning systems in place, and you have the skills that you learned from whatever broke your boundary situation. Like, for instance, with my analogy with the balloons, I was like, okay, kids, if we're taking the balloons, like, that's one of my rules. If we're going to take the balloons outside, they need to be, slip knotted around your wrist, and you can't take them off.
Sure.
And that's just, if I hadn't had those experiences, maybe I'd let the kids just kind of hold onto the string and hope that they hang onto it tight enough. So I think we put in safety nets when we go through those experiences based on the information that we had for later, and we don't even recognize it because we're so terrified of the past repeating itself. We don't recognize we've already changed the factors. Like, we don't have the same variables in place.
Yeah, and that's a growth process, right? That's how we live and learn and react. We have a situation, something happens, and we change our approach for next time. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. We could, like we were saying, we could do that in a poor way or in a good way. We just kind of want to see what's going on there and make sure we're being intentional and trying to honor God with whatever we do.
Intentionality is like our watchword. All right, well, hopefully that gives us all something to think about. Maybe ask yourself today what your boundaries are like. And do you have places in your wall that got broken where somebody hurt you and now you can't trust people, or you can't handle a certain kind of situation? Are you terrified of balloons? Whatever that is, pray for God to show you where you need to work on it. Or pray for him to show you if you're creating a future wall, It's not even based on what's currently happening.
Thanks for listening. And if you haven't done so already, come over to our webpage, epiceverydaynow.com, and sign up for our newsletter. Right now, we're just sending out emails on the weekends to kind of summarize the week and talk about the topic coming up for the next week.
All right. We love you guys, and we're praying for you. Have an awesome weekend, and come back next week because we're going to talk about God's love. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Talk to you then.